John, we're here with Leah Buckles here in the beautiful hill country of Texas. And Leah Buckles, you're the founder of Prestige Medical.
Yep, Prestige Veteran Medical Consulting, or Prestige Medical for short.
Correct. But so what does Prestige Veterans Medical offer to our veterans?
So that's a really great question. So we are a group of healthcare experts that are mostly all U.S. Army veterans. Actually, we've got a couple Navy veterans as well, a lot of disabled veterans that are physician assistants, nurse practitioners, psychologists, and we provide independent medical opinions, often referred to as Nexus letters, for VA disability cases for veterans who are in pursuit of denied claims or denied disability benefits through that system.
What do they call them, Nexus letters? Because when you say Nexus, to me, I'm thinking, and having a little bit of experience with the VA and doing claims, that type of thing, just for my personal self, Nexus to me basically means that is the center, the focal point of whatever the challenge may be. And so the letters are hyper-focused at that particular claim that the veteran's making, or what does that mean?
So that's a great question. So a Nexus letter is sort of the slang term, or the term that most veterans know, that is basically a report that shows a link or a nexus between an illness or an injury and the veteran's service or another service-connected disability. So it's just, maybe you hurt your left knee in service, and now you've 20 years later, you have arthritis and you're still having pain. You would think that might be service-connected or pretty easy to demonstrate that it's related to your service, but a lot of times that might not be, because so much time has surpassed, or there may be other extensive circumstances or whatever. So a nexus is showing that link between your current condition and your service.
Cause analysis, basically.
Leah, thank you for your service in the military, and also thank you for your service as a healthcare provider to our country and our patients here in this area. So you have a unique perspective in that not only are you a veteran, but you're also a healthcare provider, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Leah Buckles and how you got here? And also your husband, Alan, is a veteran as well, correct?
Yes.
And a healthcare provider.
Yes, he is. So we're both physician assistants, and we're both U.S. Army veterans. And thank you guys both for your years of service in different capacities and your continued service to the veterans of our community and everybody here. But my husband and I are both Army veterans. We both enlisted as medics. He at I believe 20 years old, me at 21. And we did about half of our careers as enlisted folks. We deployed, both of us, to Iraq, Afghanistan, him Afghanistan and Iraq, me Iraq. I've been to Jordan, spent a lot of time doing different things. And then we were fortunate enough to go to the Army's, it's the military's physician assistant program, and commission as officers about halfway through our careers and serve in that capacity. And then we both retired from the Army.
Were you all married at the time that you're providers?
So we met actually in PA school.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we met about halfway through our military careers.
And what inspired you and Alan to create Prestige Veterans Medical?
So, that's a really great question as well. So we've always, wanted to take care of veterans, even as service members, as healthcare providers, as medics, as PAs. Our duty was to be there, on the front lines in some circumstances, in that supporting role, right? In that supporting role, taking care of our warfighters, taking care of our service members who are out there doing the hard jobs, right? So as medical personnel, as medics, as PAs, we were there to support them and to help them get the healthcare, the services, whether it be in combat and trauma or in the clinic or wherever. That's always been our role. So this was sort of this natural progression that just sort of fell into our laps. As we exited active duty, I began working urgent care and emergency medicine, doing a little bit of work out at Warriors Heart, which we've talked about, I think, in the past, doing substance abuse, rehab, et cetera, for veterans. And so I thought, how can we give back to the veteran community? So I actually became a VA compensation and pension examiner. So for the VA, doing contracted examinations. You may or may not know as a veteran that, if you're going to receive disability, you've got to go to those exams. You file a claim, you have an exam, you go see a doctor or PA or whatever. They evaluate you, they give a medical opinion regarding that knee pain or whatever the condition is. And then the adjudicators at the VA will evaluate that evidence and determine whether it's related to your service. So we thought, how can we give back? So I began actually working as a VA examiner doing that. And honestly, it just sort of grew from there. I learned a little bit, and then I started doing it freelance and having different attorneys and law firms representing veterans, veteran service officers. You know, we have a great veteran service officer here in Kendall County, and Bernie. It approached us to assist with different records reviews, and it just grew from there, and it became a nationwide thing. So we not only get to help veterans here in Kendall County, but we help veterans all over the country, and it's been crazy.
So how long did it take you to build it to the point where you went, okay, this is it. This is what we're going to do for the rest of our, well, maybe not for the rest of your lives, but you know, what?
That's a great question. So I'm not really sure if there was an exact time, but after the first couple of years, after the first year, my husband stopped doing emergency medicine and he started helping me full time with this. And then we hired our first contractor and our first employee. And we began to find that we provided a very reasonable price in the market, and we were able to provide a very quick turnaround and a very detailed amount of evidence that was really effective. And so once that sort of caught on and we were able to, meet the veterans where they lived on the ground level, being able to read administrative documents, reading DD-214s, understanding as veterans and healthcare professionals, and you were probably an NCO at one point, right? Non-commissioned officer. So being a prior NCO, my husband too, we're used to following through. And I think, not to veer off topic, but I think many of you veterans out there watching can probably understand this, that I don't know that we really do anything that special other than we show up, we're accountable, we do what we say that we're going to do for veterans. And I think just doing those things is not always present everywhere in the civilian sector.
We're talking about the basics. This is something that we grew up.
Yeah, like show up be on time, be in the right uniform, do the right thing, and
do personal hygiene. Please do personal hygiene.
It's a recipe for success, right? So I have a great team of veterans that I served with that have followed me in this capacity. When I began recruiting people to help me on my team, I'm like, I served with this person. We deployed together. We went to school together. These are the people that I know that I grew up with in the military. They have my back to this day, and they've been with me since the beginning.
Leah, can you share with us a story? Obviously, we don't need the names, but for privacy reasons, can you share with us a success story, and maybe one recently of a veteran who came to Prestige Veterans?
Sure. I'll tell you one actually about a veteran in Kendall County, and this one has touched my heart. And I love this man. He's I won't name his name, but he's a proud member of the VFW, somebody I really get along with. And he had struggled for so many years, Vietnam veteran, struggled for so many years to get his diabetes service connected. And diabetes, many of you probably don't know, and I won't get in the weeds. Diabetes, it's an Agent Orange. It's something that should so easily be service connected presumptively, right? It shouldn't need someone to say, hey, this is a medical professional. But the problem is that the adjudicators, there was an addendum to his DD-214.
Okay.
So, and that's where his Vietnam service was. So long story short, this was actually in my capacity. I did a DBQ for him, which is a disability benefit questionnaire, which is also something we do besides Nexus letters. He was service connected and he got like 10 years of back pay to 100%.
Oh,
he came and saw me and he said, and I've never seen this man anything but chipper. Right. But he said that he used to go and sit in Walmart and cry because he couldn't afford his diabetes medication and that he was having to pay out of pocket. And, he would just sit alone and cry about how his life was. And that once he got that award, he never had to worry again for anything for the rest of his life. He would never have to worry about anything because not only did we tie diabetes, I said, well, you have all these complications like diabetic neuropathy, you have retinopathy in your eye, you have all these things that we were able to like sort of tether to that diabetes. And so it just went from not just a diabetes claim to all those other things. And so should I have had to be the one to do that? No, but unfortunately it's a bureaucracy like any other bureaucracy. And there are mistakes that are made and big federal things. And
so you were able to help someone from the Vietnam era. That's a long time going back. So if you could do that for him, you can do that for other veterans.
And their spouses too. Many veterans don't know this, that there are benefits for surviving spouses. And we do those quite often as well for surviving spouses of veterans that pass away due to service-related disabilities. There are benefits for them as well.
Wow, I did not know that. That's wonderful. I imagine there's a few folks out there that could take advantage of that for sure. So I did have some more questions. Give me a minute.
Sure. I'm so glad that you guys came out.
And it's a kind of I don't know if it's an appropriate question because I think there are veterans out there that have the mindset that the government's out to get me. They're not going to approve or I've tried to get my disability and I can't do it. I feel like for some reason, I feel like I'm not getting the service. How can they not understand what's going on with me? And so they have a bad taste in their mouth to begin with. How do we convince those folks to come and see you and give this another shot? Because there are veterans that I know personally that will not step foot into a veterans hospital.
Yeah. That's a great question too. And I thought you were going to actually say veterans, a lot of them don't believe that they should get disability.
Well, there's that too. That was next.
So okay, I won't jump to that yet. So, I always say like, we provide a really credible and great service, but also there's no qualms in asking your own treating doctor to get a medical opinion. Right. Don't give up, right? So there's no cost to you to continue to pursue your disabilities, right? There's a cost in frustration. There's a cost if you hire external agencies. I get that, but you have a free veteran service officer in your county, and whether you come to see me or not, I would love to help you if I'm able to, but don't give up because you can continue to fight these things if you believe they're related to your service, no matter what, even if it's just doing it on your own. I do say, however, like I could change the diesel engine on my truck if I wanted to on my own. I could get the manual and I can do it, or you can hire professionals at a reasonable cost to assist you with it as well. But you have options, right? So don't give up.
And Leah, I'm assuming there's also veterans out there who, because of a lack of resources, are reluctant to hire a professional to do this for them. And you have a price list that's fixed, right? So there's no hidden charges.
That is correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So our prices are they're fixed. They're on our website. So we charge a one-time $200 records review fee, and that means that we will review an unlimited number of files. However many thousands of pages you might have, unlimited number of conditions forever.
This is a Vietnam veteran from the 60s, 70s.
Yes.
There's a lot of records to go back. You can do that for $200.
For $200 now, what we won't do is we try to stay in our lane, right? So we're not going to strategize with the veteran and tell them what we try to let the legal guys do the legal job and we do the medical side. Okay. So if someone's like, hey, I want you to tell me all the things I can claim, we're going to say, hey, let's give you a list of your free veteran service officer in the county or an attorney or whoever, free resources. Most of those legal resources don't cost anything up front ever, right? Because they're all on a contingency, right? So a veteran can get legal help at no cost to them at any time, right? Now, if they want medical evidence to support that, I can't have my fees contingent on an outcome because there's some ethical things with that. So I provide an objective medical opinion. It's $200 if you say, hey, review my diabetes, no problem. Review my knee pain, review my back pain, review my whatever. It's one flat fee, $200, not $200 per issue. It's $200 forever for me to review your files. If you come back 2 years from now and you say, hey, thanks for the help with my knee 2 years ago, can you look at my depression now? There's not an additional fee for that. I'm going to review those files. We have tons of repeat clients all the time, and we value those relationships. And then it's $600 for the report, right? And so usually you're going to get anywhere from like a 4 to a 10, 12-page report, depending on the complexity of the issue. And that's going to be full of research, our qualifications, our experience in healthcare and the military, a customization to your condition, when it started, your medical records, et cetera. And we're going to write that report up in the way that we can't guarantee you that it's going to be favorable because the VA decides that based on the totality of evidence and, it's a bureaucracy, right? But what I can say is we do tell veterans no quite often because we don't want to take money from a veteran. We don't want you to wait up at night and lose sleep and think, we're not going to just write a piece of paper just because you give us the $600 to do it, right? We're going to do it because we believe the evidence supports that opinion and is going to be helpful to your case.
And you can pretty much tell this early on, so you're not wasting someone's time.
Correct.
Or maybe not wasting time, but not giving them false hopes.
Right. And again, we can never guarantee anything, but what we can guarantee is that we're not going to place a dollar over our ethical obligations, B, you as a veteran, as our fellow veteran brother or sister, We want you to be successful. Our company has grown stronger and stronger because of that backbone, right? That backbone of the Army, like we say, that we are going to provide an ethical support network that is based on that. And that's how that grassroots word of mouth has grown about our organization, because that's what we value is our.
It's who you are. It's who you are. And I can tell just from visiting with you, we would have gotten along famously if we would have served together, because the values that you're bringing to your core business, which is veterans, the value that you bring to there is, in my mind, that's amazing. There's not a lot of folks that could do what you're doing and do it at the price point that you're doing it at. I've actually thought about contacting you on several occasions. I'm not quite there yet. I'm very close.
Sure.
I just got one challenge taken care of finally on my shoulder, but now we're going to go into some other stuff. And you touched on it earlier. It took me so long after leaving active duty to even join the VA, because I'd heard so many bad things about the VA, and I did not want to put myself through that of having to wait forever to go see the doctor, and then it took me forever to file my claim. For the same reasons. It's probably not going to, get approved, this, that, and the other. But I went through a VSO as well, who helped me with some of the initial things that we had to go through. And luckily it went through the first time, so I didn't have to come see you then. But I think on these subsequent ones, I'm going to have to. And I would encourage any of the veterans out there, or family members of veterans, that they may not know they have a disability, especially if it had PTSD, the depression, lack of sleep, all these things can be tied back to a root cause, most likely. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I can follow the logical path that, you're not sleeping. Okay, well, what did you do? Or you have tinnitus, or whatever the issue may be. So,
John, and we're the Texas Examiner is featured on multiple social platforms like X, YouTube, and even though we're here in Kendall County and your company's in Kendall County, you serve veterans all over the country, right? So
we do. We have, and our experts, our medical experts and our psychologists are all over. We've got several in Texas, but I've got people in Florida. I've got people in California. So, I mean, we work remotely, so we can assist veterans, everywhere,
all over the world,
even all over the world.
Sure.
Yeah. So we have veterans that are using the foreign medical program overseas with the VA and reach out to us. And
I often see you on YouTube, Leah, and you have some great informative videos. I applaud you for that. And so if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook and you're anywhere in the world, contact Prestige Veterans Medical, and you don't have to actually, you can do a Zoom call, right?
So everything we do is based on we do a forensic records review. Okay. So we don't create evidence as far as create new diagnoses and things like that. What we do, and most of the time in legal medicine, even if it's in the legal field period, they review evidence. So whether it's engineering, medicine, whatever, let me see the evidence of record. And that's how the adjudicators, the judges, it makes it more objective.
Ethical, objective.
It makes it more objective if I take your files that you've had since service, now, whenever, and we review the whole thing, plus your history, you tell us, you give us personal statements, and we look at that. It provides more credibility.
Leah, you're a physician assistant, and I'm curious. I'm listening to you talk about all these thousands of cases that you've done. Do you feel like it's made you a better, has Prestige Veterans Medical and reviewing these files make you a better provider, or was it the other way around?
I don't know. I think it's a combination, right? So it enables me to open my mind as a healthcare provider when I do practice medicine outside of this, to make sure that I'm doing research and being open-minded and being thorough. And I think that's how we grow as humans, whether it's in medicine or in any capacity, is to open up our mind and say, well, maybe I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to figure it out.
That's hard. It's hard to do these days. It seems like all of us are in so much pressure to know the answer. And it's so powerful to say, I don't know, or let me find out. But we don't do that in society in general, it seems like, as much anymore.
Yeah, they are.
So true.
Well, I try to, like you guys, I try to surround myself with battle buddies who maybe fill those gaps for me, right? So I've got a PA that is a combat veteran that was in neurology. I've got one that was, worked in cardiology. And so we all have these different, women's health. We all have these backgrounds where we can cross level and communicate and try to figure out what is the best. If maybe I don't know, but maybe this person does.
That's pretty liberating for me, because when you're on a team, and that's what I love about when you're on a team and you're working for a common goal, right? You can see the answer, but you don't know how to necessarily how to get there. And then your teammate pops up and says, I've done it this way
Right.
before. And the next thing you know, it all just comes together.
Mhm.
And that just got chills, because
That's the magic between you
that's the
two.
magic.
I think so. We're so polar opposites, John and I.
You guys are like,
Yes, and people ask John all the time, "How can you be friends with Robert Science?" And then
That's a true story.
and that's a true story. But I also
he's wonderful.
I also have a lot of people tell me, "How can you be friends with John Tipton?"
That's right.
Really?
But you know who those people are? People that don't know John Tipton.
That don't know you.
And it is so easy today to your point earlier about why some veterans don't come. I think society has beaten us down so much to be negative about the VA, to be negative about government, negative about everything, that we earn our safe shell. And it takes courage to get out and say, hey, I need help and I don't know. And it's also, I think people are embarrassed to ask. So don't be. And I think I like what you're doing is that you're welcoming people very fair price to come in
Phenomenally fair.
and
For
find out
value.
if this is worth it for them or not.
Sure.
And I would say, most veterans, but you correct me if I'm wrong here, have some type of claim. If you had to rate this in a percentage of success that you've had, would you say you're in the 80 percentile success, 70?
So it's really hard to say. And I get that question a lot.
I bet you do.
And I think that we have a very high success rate, but I try not to, it's so multifactorial, right? It's so multifactorial. Did the evidence get submitted properly? Did it get ignored? Did the adjudicators, there's a million factors that go into a claim. But I think that we are very successful. I don't want to put a percentage because I don't like to give people false hope and say, hey, we're 90%, come and see us. Because I feel like if anyone tells you that in the VA, they're full of it, right? If they're trying to sell you and say my success rate is so high, don't believe them, right? Don't believe them.
I love your humility, but I'm sure it's very high.
It's up there. We have some great reviews, all honest, 100% authentic customer reviews on our Google. You can go and review those and see stories. See the stories from I think we've got probably close to 400 reviews on Google that are all just veterans.
Fantastic.
Yeah, all just veterans, authentic reviews over the years.
How many years have you been doing this?
So we've been doing, Prestige has been in operation since 2019.
Okay.
Right. So we've been doing this since 2019.
During COVID.
Yes. And it actually picked up at that time. I don't know if that's because people were sitting around and
They had time.
they had time, and our educational content on YouTube, as you mentioned earlier, has really empowered a lot of people. All the research I put in my reports, I give away for free on YouTube. So veterans out there, if you're not ready to contact me, go to our YouTube, watch a video on migraines to whatever your condition is. And all the research I put in my reports, I just list them off so that you can go look them up, ask your own treating doctor. And so that, those resources are available for free to you. It's not a secret. But hopefully over time, if you're not ready to chat with us now, maybe you will never be. And that's okay, because hopefully that means it got figured out for you. Right. But if you do need us, maybe just check us out on YouTube and spend some time researching and contact us.
And your website is?
So it's prestigeveteranmctx.com. That's Prestige Veteran Medical Consulting, Texas.
I'll make sure that that's on the screen for everybody to see. Dadgummit, I just had it on the tip of my tongue and it went, it's gone. What are the top 3 diagnoses that you deal with? And I'm looking for one specific answer.
That we see, or that is in VA disability in general?
Do both.
Okay, so that we see, I'm going to say sleep apnea is up there for sure.
I thought the VA stopped paying on.
No, they have not. That's just that I don't know why, but that is one of the biggest ones that, a lot of people suffer from it. So sleep apnea there are some changes coming down the pipeline, but it's not going to be, it's not going to go away.
Yeah, I was actually told, because I was in the process of trying to get my sleep study done. Well, I don't know why you're going to do that, because they don't pay it out anymore.
They do. They 100% do.
So that's a mistruth that's being probably perpetuated that I guarantee you some of our viewers have heard before too. Okay, so we got sleep apnea. What are the other?
Sleep apnea is one. I think we see a lot of migraines, headaches, and we see a lot of mental health conditions.
That's the one.
PTSD, depression, things like that.
Yes, imagine.
Yeah, tinnitus. So I would say tinnitus is a big one too. So the biggest ones for VA, I think it changes a lot, but hearing loss and tinnitus are up there, I believe.
Those are almost boilerplate, though, right? I mean, they've pretty much got the wheel round on.
Well, tinnitus is going away, actually.
Is it really?
Now is that
No, it's going away as a claim disability.
Oh.
So they're going to, and without getting too in the weeds, because I know you guys, we could talk forever.
No, probably. Oh, yeah. We if you let us.
But tinnitus is going to be, and I believe it's already, the changes in effect. It was supposed to already happen, but I think it's scheduled for August now, unless it gets pushed again, that it has to be part of another disability. So tinnitus alone, no, but tinnitus with vertigo or tinnitus with hearing loss, right? But they're not going to be doing tinnitus. Again, make sure you follow up with an accredited legal professional to get clarification on this. That's my disclaimer. But there are some changes, biggest changes coming to OS, sleep apnea, tinnitus, and PTSD actually, but favorable for the veterans. PTSD is supposed to be getting easier to get higher percentages.
And that's why I asked, is because I don't know if you've seen the episode that Robert and I did on mental health. In fact, where I'm very proud of that episode, thanks to Robert for being able to bring on Dr. Duder that did the show with us.
She's lovely.
She was fantastic. And it highlighted that across the board, I don't think veterans especially are still ready. A lot of us aren't ready to admit that we're having mental challenges, right? Or that there's anything going on. And so I would ask, and the reason why I asked, it's okay. It's absolutely 100% okay to file a claim if you think you've got some things going on upstairs. And it's so important that you do, and go get that done. And so I'm glad to hear that the VA is trying to
make it easier,
streamline or make it easier, because I think as long as the veterans will go and do it, that's the one pole in the tent.
Thank you for saying that, John. That's important to get that across. And Leah, I'm sure John may have another question or two, but just in closing, what is your message to the veterans? If you had to synopsize all this to get them to come talk to you, how do you approach them?
I would say, I always say if the day comes that my company doesn't have to exist, that's a good thing, because that means that veterans are getting what they deserve, what they're legally and ethically should be getting. But until that time comes, we are here to support you. We try to keep that cost down so that you can get in the door, and we can try to get down and dirty and figure out what it is that we can do to assist you, right? And again, even if we're not the ones, I just wish that you would continue to pursue what you're legally and rightfully entitled to based on your service. So whether that's, you continuing to do that on your own, going to the VSO, going to your healthcare provider, whoever, know that Prestige is always available and a resource that you can reach out to. Just don't give up.
Yeah, and to add to that, veterans out there, remember you signed your name on that dotted line, and you're entitled to this type of service, this type of care. But don't think for a second that you're not entitled to it, or that because you did this job or joined the military for no other reason than because you thought it was the right thing to do, you're still entitled to these benefits. So take advantage of them, and definitely reach out if you're unsure about what you should do. Can they still reach out to you and just kind of get some initial, hey, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think about that?
So when a veteran reaches out to us, the first 4 questions we ask are, do you have a legal professional, so that we can reach out to them and network with your VSO or your attorney? That's question number 1. 2, what is it that what kind of a letter are you looking for? What's the condition? How do you believe it's related to your service? And what are your other service connected disabilities? So that way we can start formulating, okay, maybe you want this. You think it's related to this. That might not work, but what else do you have? So we have like the ingredients going. And if you're saying, hey, I want a letter for my left arm amputation, but I have 2 arms, we're going to tell you we probably can't, so we don't want to even take that $200 if it sounds like something we probably can't help with. Our intake staff are going to kind of screen in accordance with all that knowledge that I've empowered them with, to try to really get to that key personnel that we think that we can effectively help. I don't know if that answered your question.
That was perfect.
That's very good, because I've had a few friends that timid, shy, I don't know what the term is, distrusting, that just kind of poke around a little bit and ask me what's this about. And I think it stems from, in my opinion, from their privacy. They're concerned, but you're a healthcare provider. I mean, that privacy is number one with you guys. So wanted to get that across too, that if you have any reservations, just call them. You don't have to contact us. You can call them directly.
Absolutely.
And see kick the tires a little bit, see if this is for you.
Yeah.
Prestige Veterans Medical.
Yes.
Leah Buckles and Alan Buckles.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.